Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. Today it is just the two of us, so I am excited because this is leading up to Mother's Day. And of course, today I'm going to talk about 10 strategies that can help moms, but also all women, just feel more organized. So it's really about getting, but also staying organized. So you may want to get your tablet, you may want to grab a pen and paper, and of course, you may just want to watch this over again. Or for those of you listening, listen over again. But these are 10 things that can really help you get and stay organized. So let's start with number one, purge before you purchase. And that is really the best thing to really get you going because you want to really get rid of things. You want to, 80% of the stuff we keep, we never reference again. And we wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. So you want to get rid of stuff. You want to get rid of anything that is trash. You want to get rid of anything that needs to be recycled. You also want to think about those things that you no longer love and use and giving them a new home. And of course, sometimes a lot of you want to sell things. So you want to get through that and just, really identify those pieces. But also, when you purge, it makes things less overwhelming when you actually get into the organizing piece. So once you get rid of all those things that you really don't need and you're left with what you really want, then and use, it's so much easier. It's not as overwhelming. And plus really the purging part of it, it allows you to really just get that momentum up, get that motivation up, be more inspired and encouraged to move forward. And also purging before you purchase, it saves you money because sometimes you look at that space and you think, oh my goodness, I am so overwhelmed with all this stuff. But when you actually, and then of course, when you see that, then you think you need 10 bins. And by the time you purge, get rid of, sell, you might only need two. So it'll save you some money. So purge, purge. Number two, put things back. One of the things I am training myself to do is to put things back. That means instead of just putting it down, I put it away. And it only takes a few minutes to actually do that. So think about that. Think about when you come home and you just want to put your keys there, put your coat there, put your shoes there, but put them in a place. Whether you put your shoes on a shoe rack, you hang your coat up, you have a specific spot for your keys. Because what you're really doing is not only you're doing it for yourself, you're creating a habit, a routine, things that the entire family at some point can buy into. Because if they're the only ones doing it, at some point they're going to have to say, okay, I need to get in line with what everybody else is doing. And then, of course, you know, it just really helps you actually prevents the big messes. So if you just put things away, you don't have a pile of things if you have to put them away. You only have a little bit. So putting things back. Number two, take a deep breath, is let go. Let go of those things you don't love. Let go of those things you don't use. I always feel that when I'm letting go of something, I'm giving it a new home. I'm giving it to somebody who would truly love and appreciate it. Because sometimes we do have guilt, like, oh my goodness, I spent this amount of money on it. Um, I feel like I'm just throwing away. Well, no, you don't have to just throw it away. And I've talked to so many people where a lot of times they have things in their home they don't want anymore. They clean it up, they put it outside, and before they know it, somebody has come along and actually taken it. I had these lamps and I hadn't used them. I washed them clean. I put them out, and it was like minutes later. And I just said, you know what? I really want you to have a good home because I'm not appreciating you. You don't have to talk to yours. That's what I was saying. I said, I want somebody who doesn't have to see these lamps and to just be the answer for them. So we have a lot of things, and they could just really, truly benefit other people. And of course, always also remember that when you have less stuff, that's less stuff to clean. I want to say that again. When you have less stuff, that's less stuff to clean, that's less stuff to actually maintain. So always think about that as well. Then, of course, the next thing is let's talk about the duplicates. Like how many of you got 5 of this and 6 of that? What about those water bottles? How many water bottles do you have? But also, how many water bottles do you actually need? Sometimes you got to think about that. And then, of course, ask yourself if this is really adding value. Like, are these 12 mugs adding really value to my life? Do I need 12 mugs? And I know sometimes they're really sentimental, but ask yourself, really, do I need? And with the let go, remember, less stuff you have, that's less stuff you have to organize. So, think about that. Less stuff you have, less stuff you have to organize. So, of course, it simplifies and reduces decision fatigue. So you don't get so overwhelmed with all the things. You can really just focus on what you have, what you love, what you use. And so now that we've gone through those of just the kind of letting go and getting rid of, now it's time to create some systems. So everybody needs a system. We need a system for meal planning. We need a system for laundry. We need a system for our school papers. Those of you who have children or are you going to school? You need systems. And also think about drop zones. So drop zones could be when you come in, you put your shoes in a space, you hang your coat up, but then also think about the kids. And one of my colleagues shared that one of her clients discovered she needed a drop zone because her child was commuting back and forth to college. So therefore, they needed a drop zone just for their backpack. So think about that because what that does is it allows you to have a space for something, and also it'll be a lot easier for you to actually find things when you need them, not get overwhelmed that everything is all over your house, but it'll be a place for everything and everything in its place. So think about that. And of course, it saves you time when you're doing those daily routines. Maybe you do meal planning, meal prep. At least if you have a system for all the things you need for your containers, or even just doing laundry, all the laundry items you need to clean the laundry are right there, then that will definitely help you. So, number 6, planning the night before. And if you haven't already heard from me, when you take 15 minutes the night before to plan, you save yourself an hour, the next day. 15 minutes saves you an hour. So that night before planning could be, okay, what is my outfit going to look like? Where is everything I need to walk out the door the next morning? Maybe all the information I need in my tote bag, my backpack. Where are my keys? If you don't do meal planning, what is going to be that meal for the next day? So, and that is important. And you know why? Because it allows you to have a smooth morning routine. A smooth morning routine. So when you wake up, you already know what you're going to wear. You already have, maybe you take your water bottle or your coffee mug with you, and your keys are, so you're not running around trying to pull everything together before you walk out the door. And a morning routine is really good too, because then kind of that leads into my next tip is schedule some me time. Schedule some me time in, because that's when you decide that, okay, every morning I'm going to wake up maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes early and have a little me time. Whether you do some yoga, some exercise, whether you do some journaling, whether you are just quiet. But that is important because you're always putting yourself last. And like, one of the guests this month says, at least put yourself on the list. We always saying we need to put ourselves on the top of the list, but can you at least put yourself on the list? And block out time too. Reading, exercising, just relaxing, blocking out that time is important. And because when you take care of yourself, and I know this as being a caregiver for my mother, you can take care of others because you've got the energy mentally and physically. So think about that as well. And number 8, and this is something I share in my time management strategies when I do these workshops and speaking, double the time you think it takes to do something. So if you think something's going to just take 15 minutes, double it to 30. Because if you block out 30 minutes and it takes 20, 25, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel like, yay, I got this done. But if you only block out 15 and it takes 20 to 25, then you're going to feel overwhelmed, anxious, stressed because it may be leading into something else. So, life happens, traffic, delays, all kind of things come up. So making sure you double the time, because how many times have you gone, said, I'm going to take a quick trip, and that quick trip turns into something longer. You go in the store, all of a sudden, it doesn't look like you're used to seeing it because they decided to rearrange things. So the milk used to be on the left side of the store, now it's on the right side of the store. And you see everybody wandering around trying to find stuff. So always double the time because it reduces that stress and the constant rushing. You're allowing yourself for those traffic delays. You're allowing yourself for maybe those long lines in the store, or maybe you have to go to a couple of stores to find things. Number 9, writing stuff down. I'm going to repeat that. Write stuff down. There's something I've really started instituting, which is a brain dump. I don't do it every day, but there are times, after I do my prayers and, just some of my quiet time, I'll wake up and I'll have to dump all of those little things that are just going in my brain, just the things I have to do. So, just doing that helps me, first of all, regain focus, know what I have to do, and then I just check things off. But you should definitely use calendars and apps. And I would love for you to post below whether you use just your app calendar, or you use a planner, or you use a combination of both. I use a combination of both. But it just really helps you deal with, sometimes we do forget things. And also the last minute chaos. You feel more in control of your life and your schedule when you see, okay, these are the things I need to do. And sometimes you can do a little bit of planning around it. Okay, I need to get stamps because I got to, mail some birthday card. Okay, so today I know I'm going to pass, the store where I can buy them. It just allows you to feel like you're more in control. And of course, number 10, always just sit down and just review your schedule. Whether you do it, in the evening, whether you want to do a quick scan in the morning, but you definitely need to just really start your week off by just looking at your schedule so you'll know what you'll have to do. So you'll know sometimes, because that'll help you say no to some things and yes to others. You can adjust, because sometimes things happen. We're at work and all of a sudden something has popped up on our schedule we need to manage. So therefore it allows you, like, okay, I may not be able to, by the time I get home, I may be too tired to do whatever I had planned, but I can reschedule it for maybe Thursday. And then, of course, buffer time. And this is something that I teach people who, unfortunately, people have access to our calendars. So therefore, sometimes you'll look and all of a sudden there'll be something scheduled on your calendar. And you really didn't plan for it, but you have to attend the meeting. So therefore, allowing buffer time. So when you do see a meeting show up on your calendar, allow yourself time before and time after, which means you block out the time before. For example, maybe you do have to travel to the meeting, or maybe you have to prep and present some updates at the meeting. You've got a few minutes before just to gather your thoughts and organize your thoughts. But also at the end of the meeting, maybe it's a lot of information that you had to intake, but you also have to share that with others. Allow yourself that time, because then hopefully you won't be going to back to back to back meetings and just feeling so overwhelmed. So, just to give you a recap of the 10 tips for moms to get and stay organized, or women in general. Purge before you purchase. Put things back is number 2. Letting go is number 3. Eliminate the duplicates is number 4. Create systems is number 5. Plan the night before is number 6. Schedule and me time is number 7. Double the time you think it will take to do something is number 8. Write it down is number 9, and number 10, review your schedule. So I would love to know, of course, if you share this or if there's one of these tips that you decide, you know what, Janet, I want to focus on this one. For example, putting things back. I want to focus on putting things back for the next 30 days. So please continue to share your comments, share your progress, and even if you have a question, please feel free to do so. So, of course, for those of you watching me via YouTube, thank you so much for joining me. And of course, for those who are listening via audio, stay tuned for the rest of this episode. So I just want to end this conversation by saying, until next time, you have a clutter-free day, but also have an organized week. Thank you so much for joining me.